Kim and Al. We have been planning our escape from a fast-paced corporate life since we met 10 years ago. Freedom 45. This year, we finally pulled the ripcord. We quit our jobs, sold our home in the city, bought a property in the sticks, and are building an off-grid home ourselves. We're excited to share our experience as we create our new life on the North River.
Just watch the corn grow in the fields. I don't know what's on your mind, but I know that it's something about you and me. I'll stay here for as long as I can, through the storms and through the calm. When you smile at me, I slowly began to realize that you are the one. But I will sneak a note in your pocket, and I'll leave with your smile in my mind. Wherever we will end up, I will love it, 'cause you're mine, 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 mine. And you know I'll walk a million miles for you. You said summer will be over soon. Would you still like to hang around? When the clouds roll in and cover the moon, will we manage to stand the ground? Without you,
Take a poke in the hole for a second. Silver piece down there, that's the ground plate. It's just a square piece of metal. And the copper wire, we attach that with a screw to the plate. You bury the plate 30 inches, and then we're gonna cover that all up. I am protecting it with this piece of conduit, steel conduit that we actually found at the side of this farmhouse when they tore down the original electrical installation. So I'll reduce, reuse, and recycle this. I'll slip it through this hole that I drilled here in the 4x4, and then I will sink it down well below level. And then as well, I'm gonna, even though with the conduit I don't think it's necessary, I'm still gonna put some caution tape to indicate that there's electrical wires below. Just like I say, sometimes it's code, sometimes it's overkill. I just kind of go with my intuition for the most part. Where code is required, we like to follow the rules. Obviously, we want to pass inspection, things like that. But, you know, if I add some extra tape and extra indication that there's wires down here, I think it's just more the better, right? Less shenanigans, if you will. So that's, this piece here is just simply providing the ground plate with the wire attached. I'm gonna run it into the utility shed up to the control panel, if you will, where the box is and the controllers and everything. I'm gonna build a little bus bar to attach this to, so that I can then bring in other grounds from the charge controllers, the switch box, all the other componentry in the shed.
And the Starlink.
And the Starlink, that's right. We're going to put the Starlink on top, and I'm going to run the cable in behind the drip edge at the back of the shed. And I'll just leave the crazy excess amount of wire that they gave us. We'll just loop that up and I'll hang it on a little hook. And it'll sit on the roof nice and safe. And the actual transmitter and the power unit, that will sit inside the shed. So we'll broadcast the Wi-Fi signal out from here. In the end, when we build the house, it's not strong enough, then we have an Eero mesh network that we can also add to the mix, and that will basically propagate the network all over the property, even down to the water.
You had me at a low, 'cause where you go is where I go. I don't need nobody else. I got you, and you got me too.
You came right out of the blue. I wanna do what you want to. We can leave and run away someday, someday. I've been saving you, and you save me too.
Oh, hi there. How you been? How are the insert your loved ones here? That's good. Great. Well, thanks for stopping by. We'll give you a tour of our utility shed. First, a little bit about the utility shed. Right now, it's functioning. Obviously, aesthetically, it's a little unpleasing. I plan on covering this all with cedar shake shingles, but for now, it is done as much as it needs to be done to get everything up and running, and we are up and running now. This is insulated in the floor, R24. The walls are R20. If you could look down here, you would see a piece of hard foam insulation underneath the batteries, and eventually I will enclose them for the winter. I don't want to overheat them in the summer. They're fine as they are right now. And in all cases, we are recycling materials. Again, the whole theme and everything that we're doing is trying to reuse everything that we can. When we tear down the farmhouse, for instance, all that nice barn board and wood, we will pull the nails and plane it and clean it up, and we'll use it again on our various projects that we have in forever and ever for the rest of our lives, seemingly. So as far as the system itself, very high level, very straightforward. It is panels go to charge controllers. Charge controllers manage the distribution of power to charge the batteries. The batteries supply power to an inverter. The inverter converts DC power to AC, which is what runs in your household, and that is, in a nutshell, how all solar systems work. Panels bring power to the batteries give power to an inverter, which converts it into a usable AC form that you're used to in your house. So we have here a breaker box, 2 charge controllers, and then this integrated unit, which also includes a charge controller. So the breaker box is just there to be able to conveniently and safely disconnect power from the panels to the system. And then in the integrated unit, it also has built-in breaker switches and all kinds of other goodies. So we have 12 panels, 295 watts each. They're wired together in 3 banks of 4. And with each bank, 2 panels are in series, and then they're wired together in parallel. That, in the end, gives us 1,000 watts per bank coming into the 3 charge controllers, so each of them gets 1,000 watts under peak conditions. They then all supply power to the batteries. That charges the batteries up, and the charge controllers are smart enough to know how much voltage or how much current to provide depending on how far they've been discharged. So if they're very, very discharged, it knows to charge it up very quickly. Once it gets to a certain point, getting close to capacity, it will actually slow down the current, and it's almost like trickle charging your car. So that's the purpose of the charge controllers. Inside this box is the inverter. The inverter, again, takes power from the batteries, converts it from DC into AC. Then we're going to take the 220 volt line from this inverter, and we're going to actually bury a line and run it over to closer to the build site, where we'll distribute an outlet to supply for the RV area. And eventually, when we're not living in that trailer there, anybody that's a guest of ours will have it set up so they have a place to plug in for gray water, plug in for black water, they can plug in for power and all that fun stuff. It'll be like our own private little RV lot. Then the other half of what we're going to be supplying power to will obviously be our house eventually, and we'll have to upgrade the system eventually. The batteries themselves, there are 4 6-volt 533 amp hour batteries, so they're wired in series, so that gives an output of 24 volts. The truth is that 460 amp hours is misleading because you can never deplete the batteries to under half, so really you're working with 230 amp hours. So the way you do the math is, if, for instance, and I look right now, you can see we're running the fridge, so there's 3 amps roughly going to the trailer and 1 amp going to the Starlink, so that's 4 amps. So because of loss and because of the amount of power required input to the system in order to get power out, for every 1 amp that we use in the trailer or wherever you're providing power, you need 6 amps from the system. So 4 amps drawing times 6 is 24. plus 2 amps that are supplied perpetually to the integrated box. You're talking 26 amps, and then you divide 26 into 230, and that will give you the number of hours. So I think it's roughly 8 or 9 hours that we could run without any solar power. Because we overclubbed the system, they recommend 4 panels. We went with 12 so that we really just don't ever want to be in a situation where we're kind of biting our nails and skating along. Like right now, anytime the sun's out, and even yesterday when it was raining, we have ample power to run the fridge, to run our computer, our utilities, hair dryers, all that stuff, you know, just normal living kind of stuff. That's all no problem all during the day. The batteries stay 100%, and then at night we just switch the fridge to propane mode. I don't even know if we have to do that necessarily, but I'm just being very cautious while we get used to the system and what it's capable of. The last thing you want to do is continually deplete the batteries over and over and over and really deeply discharge them. It's super bad for them. The optimal situation is to have enough power coming from the panels to keep the batteries happy and fully charged all day long, and then you dip in as little as possible in the off hours. So we watch TV at night, we watch a couple of shows on Netflix or whatever. Kim's doing her work on the computer, and we shut it all down, and I even shut off the Starlink, the internet, because it is constantly drawing 100 watts. So in the end, that's the one thing being off grid. You start to become very conscious of all of the different utilities and appliances that we have, and when you use them and when not to use them. You stop taking for granted things like, well, I've got the internet plugged in, the internet's magical, it's just coming out of the wall and I never have to worry about it. Now we know there's actually an electrical draw and cost to running our internet solution. So just like a light switch, if we're not using it, turn it off. If we need it, turn it back on. And what I got from Amazon is this cool little wireless fob that you will plug the Starlink into that, then that into the box, and then it's got a little fob from inside. We can just turn it off. Right now I run out in my underwear and I turn off the thing before going to bed, which is buggy and problematic on some nights. So that is our system in a nutshell. If you guys have any questions, by all means make fun of me or ask in the comments, and we'll answer them as best as we can, and maybe even accurately.
Caught behind Venetian blinds, out of reach for the city lights. This ain't where I belong. Hey, look at me, man, what I've become. I've been running.
So we've had our solar system up and running for a few days now, and that change has been massive for us. Having full-time AC power in the trailer and not having to turn on the generator has improved our day-to-day life incredibly. Things like being able to warm up my tea in the microwave, or being able to blow dry my hair after a shower, or having internet all the time, or Al and I being able to watch Netflix before we go to bed are game changers. This slower pace and the freedom to choose how we spend our days and what we focus on is such a gift. And one thing that we are feeling out here more and more every day is gratitude. As difficult as some days can be, and as overwhelmed as we feel sometimes by all of the things that we have to do and learn, we can't help but look around and feel lucky for this place, this opportunity, and this challenge, and all of the kind people we've met since we've been here. Getting our solar system hooked up definitely took us longer than we were hoping that it would. But in the end, Al figured it out. I knew he would. He always does. He's wicked smart. We're slowly learning to downshift into this new rhythm and to take things as they come instead of worrying about all of the ways that the sky will fall or the worst case scenario. It's not always easy being present, but it certainly helps being out here with nature and the birds and all of the animals on our property. It just helps us keep grounded and remember why we made this choice. Because even on the most difficult days, we would make this choice again. When I look out at the property at night, it still feels like a dream. It's so picture perfect. And documenting this process is like a diary for us, because as we look back at these videos, even now, it helps to remind us how far we've come. Getting full-time AC power back was such a win for us. And as daunting as that task was, we did it. And we know that whatever comes next, we can do it again. And thank you to everyone who is watching us and cheering us on. We love you, and your support means the world to us.